So when you're like, I just want it done right, sometimes what you're really saying is, I don't want to feel unsafe. Hey friend, let's talk about support. The kind you say you want and then secretly resist the second it's available. Because if you're a high capacity founder with high standards, there's a good chance you've had this experience. You're exhausted, you know you need help, you even take steps to get help. You hire someone, delegate something, bring in support, and then the moment it gets messy or slow or not exactly right, something in you tightens. And you think, yeah, never mind, I'll just handle it. What I want to unpack is the real reason of why that happens. It is not because you're bad at delegation. It's not because you're incapable of leading. And it's not because you're secretly controlling and need to just let it go. Most of the time, it's because control is a coping strategy. And receiving real support, is a skill. I'm going to say that again. Receiving real support is a skill. Not a personality trait, not something you either have it or don't have it. A skill you build. So if support feels hard, doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're learning a new capacity. Here's something I wish someone had told me earlier. Wanting support and feeling unsafe with support can both be true at the same time. You can genuinely want help and also feel threatened by it. Because support introduces variables you can't fully control. Timing, quality, interpretation, tone, follow through, judgment, all of it. And if your success has been built on being the person who handles everything, that catches everything, fixes all the mistakes, saves the day, things feel weird in your body, then letting somebody else in can feel stepping into some unstable ground. That's why I call delegation and support a safety event. Your nervous system is not evaluating support like, is this a good operational decision? It's actually looking at this in the sense of, is this safe? Will I be okay if I'm not the one holding everything? And for a lot of founders, your system learned a long time ago that the answer is only if you are holding it, you're going to feel safe. So let's normalize something. If you ever gotten support and then felt more anxious, not less, that makes sense. Because in the beginning, support doesn't always reduce your workload immediately. It can actually increase it for a minute. You're clarifying things, communicating, reviewing, calibrating. And that's the moment a lot of founders decide the support doesn't work. But the truth is, you are in the training phase. You're building a new skill. And you're also building tolerance. Tolerance for mess. Tolerance for learning curves. Tolerance for not being the one who catches everything. And again, you're not wrong for feeling that discomfort. You're just growing. Let's talk about control next. Because the word control gets thrown around like it's an insult. Like it means you are power hungry or rigid and you just need to relax. But that's not how I see it. Control is usually just a nervous system strategy that says, if I hold it, I can prevent pain. Control can be protection from embarrassment, disappointment, financial instability, being judged, things falling apart. So when you're like, I just want it done right, sometimes what you're really saying is, I don't want to feel unsafe. And if you've ever been in a season where something dropped, or a client issue, maybe a team issue or a financial problem, your brain will remember that. Our body is really good at remembering that trauma. And it will tell you, we are not doing that again. So it grips, it makes things stop. And that gripping looks like leadership. Gripping looks like standards. It looks like I'm just being responsible. But it's often just fear in a nice looking blazer. Here's the shift I want you to consider. Support is not luxury. Support is infrastructure. And receiving support is not about being chill. It's about being skilled. So if you're someone who says, I want to be a supported CEO, then the question isn't just who can help me. It's also, how can I tolerate being helped? I think that's the part that we forget to really pay attention to a lot of times, and that ends up coming back to sabotages. Because you can hire support all day long and still be unsupported if your identity won't let go of that control. So let's make this super practical for you. There are basically two ways that founders try to get help. One is delegating tasks, and the other one is delegating ownership. Delegating tasks looks like you can do this thing. Delegating ownership is like you own this outcome. And most founders think that they're delegating ownership. They're actually just delegating tasks with invisible expectations attached to it. And that's where anxiety is born, because your team or contractor thinks, okay, I did the thing, it's done. And you were like, yes, but not like how I meant it. And now you're thinking that you just can't trust anyone, right? Nobody's going to do it as well as you can. But what happened is that you didn't transfer the standards. You transferred the task. And when your standards stay in your head, you will always feel unsafe because the system isn't holding quality. You are. So here is one of the biggest identity upgrades a supported CEO makes. They stop being the safety net. They make the system the safety net. That means instead of you personally ensuring that every detail is right through your constant involvement, you build structures that create right without you. And I don't mean that you need a 40-page SOP for everything. I mean simple things like you show examples of what good looks like, you define done in actual words, you create checkpoints so you're not shocked at the end, and you set a review rhythm that protects the standard without you hovering. That is not micromanagement. That, my friends, is leadership. And that's how you keep your standards and reduce stress. This episode is sponsored by the CEO Method, my proven system to help founders let go without things falling apart. Inside, you'll nail what to delegate, set a clear definition of done, and run a weekly rhythm that frees your calendar while keeping standards high. If you want a 3-day CEO schedule and a team that moves without handholding, go to accidentalceo.co/delegate-course. That's accidentalceo.co/delegate-course. Now let's talk about the most important moment, the moment you feel yourself tightening. You know that moment, you delegated, it is in motion, and then you get something back in your body that feels like, no. And you feel the urge to take it back, to fix it, redo it, jump in, save it. That urge isn't proof that you shouldn't be supported. It's proof that you are building the skill. So in that moment, here's what I want you to do. You pause and name what's happening. Not in a dramatic way, just be real. You can say, my nervous system is gripping, or I'm trying to create safety with control. Or you can say, I'm in fixer mode. Whatever works for you. Just name the thing. And then you ask yourself a better question than, how do I make this perfect right now? You ask, what would a supported CEO do next? And most of the time, a supported CEO doesn't snatch the task back. A supported CEO calibrates. They coach it forward. They clarify the standards. They tighten that communication and create maybe a next checkpoint. So you don't collapse into, see, I knew I couldn't trust anyone. Since we mentioned calibration, let's talk a little bit about that. What does that sound like? Because this is where founders either scale or stay stuck. So calibration sounds like, hey, thank you for getting this started. Here's what done needs to include. Let's adjust the structure before we go further. Or this is close. Here are 2 changes I need for it to match the standard. And if you're thinking, well, that sounds like it will take time, You're right. It does take time at first. But if you're either going to spend the time building transferable excellence or you're going to spend time being the bottleneck forever, pick your hard. Now, this is a deeper layer here, and this is the part where the identity shift pack really comes in. Because for a lot of founders, the reason support feels hard isn't just process, it's identity. Your identity is, I am the one who holds it all. Then support feels like losing your role, right? Things are not always coming to you anymore. You are not needed all the time, and that can feel uncomfortable. If your identity is, I'm the reliable one, then receiving help can feel like being exposed. If your identity is I am the one people count on, then being supported can feel like you're disappointing people. So receiving support can bring up some grief. Like, who am I if I'm not needed? Who am I if I'm not the hero of the story? Who am I if I'm not the one saving the day? And that's why this work is so real. Because it's not just operational, it's emotional. And the goal is not to become a robot CEO who never feels triggered. The goal is to notice the pattern early and choose a different move anyways. So here's a simple way to build the skill of receiving support without freaking out. Start small. Not because you're weak, but because you're training your system, remember? Pick something low risk, something where you can tolerate a learning curve without freaking out, something where pretty good is acceptable while you calibrate, and practice receiving help without rewriting the whole thing. Practice letting someone complete a task and then giving feedback in a way that makes them better next time, instead of you silently fixing it forever. This is how support becomes safer, because your brain starts collecting evidence. And evidence says we can be supported and still be okay. This reminds me of teaching my kids to load the dishwasher. I have a very specific place where I want things to go. It's how the silverware is going to go in, the cups, the bowls, the plates. I'm sure you do too if you load the dishwasher. But eventually, I need to pass on that task to teach my kids responsibility, sharing ownership of keeping the house tidy up and together. So I had to be okay with their initial placement of everything on that dishwasher, and then slowly teach them where I believe things should go. But at the end of the day, if the dishes were clean at the end of that dishwashing cycle, that is at the end of the day what really matters, right? So think about what is something that where you feel like you can tolerate that learning curve and start there with work. Also, quick note, if your standard is high, which I know it is, you don't need to lower it to receive support. You need to transfer it. Your standards need to live somewhere other than your head. So if you're noticing that you take things back because you're scared the quality will drop, here's what I want you to do. You build a definition of done for your task. Just a little one, maybe like 5 to 7 lines, and you're going to include what success looks like, what to avoid, a reference example, and the checkpoint before everything is final. That alone will reduce your nervous system grip more than you think, because clarity equals safety. Let's talk directly to the founder who is thinking, I've tried support, it didn't work. I want to gently challenge that, because sometimes what you mean is, I tried support and it didn't work immediately. It didn't feel clean right away. It didn't reduce my anxiety right away. It wasn't perfect right away. And that's not failure, that's training. Support becomes a superpower when you build two things: a system that holds standards and an identity that can tolerate being helped. That's the whole game, both of them together. If you just try the first, but completely ignore the second, that doesn't work. So what this episode is hitting If you feel like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to be supported, but I still grip, I still hold on to things, that's exactly why I'm giving you my identity shift pack as a free resource for this. So it helps you spot the identity that is running the show in real time, like fixer mode, fast mode, standard holder mode. And it gives you prompts in language to shift into the CEO version of you without spiraling into, fine, I'll do it. Because support doesn't become safe by accident. It becomes safe by practice. And you get to lead the process, not just delegate simple tasks. All right, friend, we'll see you on the next episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Don't forget to grab your identity shift pack on the show notes. And I will dare you to forward this episode to another founder who maybe needs to start changing that identity and learning a few better ways to let go without feeling like the floor was ripped from below their feet. So let's grow together. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us in the world where creativity and business strategy collide. I am Nata Salvatore, thrilled to have shared this time with you. Remember, every episode is a step closer to mastering the art of being an accidental CEO. So don't miss out. Hit subscribe, drop us a sweet review, and spread the word to your creative tribe. Your next big breakthrough could be just one episode away. Join us next time for more insights, laughs, and actionable tips. Keep pushing boundaries, dreaming big, and embracing the beautiful chaos of entrepreneurship. Here's to make magic happen in your business and beyond.